Meghan, who loved it?
I'm very hurt about it, but it was beautiful. It was a beautiful situation. Yeah.
It's maybe the last royal wedding for a long time, but it was absolutely perfect. Now for some Scotch egg and a good dose of Prosecco. Cheers!
The look of love.
That's where the party is.
I know where I'm going later.
She looked absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, there's so much to talk about. Do stay with us here on the BBC, because now we've seen the dress, now we've seen the guest, and now we want to talk to two people who have stayed with us to watch all of that. There's no other word but magnificence, I think. Meredith Vieira, can I come to you first of all? What did you make of that?
I'm literally blown away by it.
Are
It is
you?
absolutely beautiful. Actually, we're in a flight pattern here, flight path, and so these planes coming in, I can only imagine the pilot when they say, if you look to your left, and there is this unbelievable scene unfolding. I thought it was magical. I thought you talked about her grace and how confident she felt. She's been that way since she was a little girl. If you look back at all the films of her, all the interviews, she's always carried herself with dignity, and you saw it today. But what really stayed with me were her freckles. She used to talk about being biracial and being very proud of both races, and yet feeling she never fit into either. And so to me, and being told to cover her freckles, so to me that was almost symbolic that today I am Meghan Markle. You are looking at me, and what a sight to behold.
Meredith, there was this lovely moment as the carriage procession came down and turned, and you saw the household couple. You turned around to us and went, "You guys know how to do weddings."
They definitely know how to do weddings, and these royal ones.
They're not all like this.
No, they're not all like this.
But at the end of the day, they really were just two people in love. You saw it so clearly. They just really, really love each other.
Joe Elvin, we're going to talk to you a little bit more later, but just briefly, your thoughts on the dress?
Absolutely stunning. Nailed it, smashed it. It's superb. Just absolutely, as I said before, the perfect fusion of modernity and pure romance.
It was a kind of refined modernity, wasn't it? It was absolutely appropriate to the location, and yet it was absolutely her.
I think the word I'm searching for is exquisite. It was just superb.
Let's go to Anita.
James Haskell, how was that?
Incredible. I thought Reverend Michael Curry's address was sensational. I thought Meghan looked beautiful. The gospel choir were on form. I think everyone was clapping at the end along with the music. So it was probably the best wedding I've ever been to.
Oh, I think, and we were all parts of it, but for you to actually be there and feel what was the emotion like? Was there an atmosphere?
Yeah, of course. I think when the doors opened and Meghan walked down, obviously the initial part on her own, you know, that was kind of an incredible statement. She looked amazing. Everyone's head turned, and then as soon as the service sort of started, you could feel the kind of electricity in the air, and everyone was singing. I kept my singing voice to a minimum because I don't want to upset anyone, because I've got no skill when it comes to singing whatsoever.
Yeah, but you've got all the rugby skills, so we forgive you. Now, obviously, all royal weddings are a moment in history, but I really feel that's a game changer.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, for a number of levels, but I think more so than anything else, you know, the Reverend's address. You know, I think the world's in a bit of turmoil at the moment. I think for someone to kind of cut through that, speak very clearly. Obviously, it was to celebrate Harry and Meghan's day, but more importantly, to talk about loving people a little bit more. That you know, we should be more accepting, and I think it was amazing, and I think it will go down in history for a long time.
I think you're absolutely right. Well, you look very smart, James. I'm going to let you go because you've got a lovely lunch to get to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, we could do half an hour on the bishop's address, couldn't we?
Yeah, that might be a whole other programme, in fact, the Bishop's Address. But news just in, Wasps England flanker James Haskell's tone deaf. It's good to know he's bad at something. And it has been a terribly exciting, I was going to say exhausting day, but actually I mean exhilarating day. It's not even 1:30 yet in the afternoon. How are they faring in Los Angeles, where they have been up all night watching? Well, Richard Bacon is there.
Well, the sun is rising here in Los Angeles, in Santa Monica. It's been fascinating joining this viewing party and just watching them watch their hometown girl join the British royal family 5,500 miles away. It wasn't just that you could see the emotion, you could really feel it as well. The silence as the car rolled up to the chapel, the cheers as you'd expect as we saw the dress for the first time. Meghan's old head teacher was standing just in front of me crying. She had her arm around her son, who'd been in class with Meghan. And another interesting thing is just the perspective of being a Brit here watching this. You just got an absolute sense of the impact that this is having globally. Your afternoon there is is just beginning. Our long night is over and it is time for bed here. But I'll leave you with this comment. As I was watching the service, there was a girl sitting next to me who leant over to her friend and whispered to her, "This marriage is going to change the world." And I think that is the feeling of the people who have watched it here in Los Angeles.
Richard, thank you so much. Let's go to Anita.
JJ Chalmers with an invite to the wedding. How was it?
It was lovely. It was such a wonderful occasion. All seemed to go down well. Well, highlights, I've got to say, there was these great moments when we were in there where sort of you could hear the crowd outside, you know, when they said "I will," and the crowd went and we all laughed inside. So there was really, really nice moments like that.
Where were you sitting?
So I was about halfway back on the left. And just sat amongst them, and you could just look around and you could see, you know, big names and all that sort of stuff. But there was this really, I thought it was a really nice moment where they said, they, you know, as a congregation we had to say "we will," you know, as a family and friends to look after them type thing. And that was just such a lovely thing to be part of, to sort of go, all right, yeah, we'll look after you like you've looked after us.
You said it there within the chapel. I said it as well. I think the whole nation said, "We will." I mean, it was something quite spectacular, a real moment in history. All royal weddings are, but that really felt like something completely different.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, something different. It was definitely a royal wedding, it was definitely a big occasion, it had uniforms, pomp and ceremony, but I loved some of the other sort of cultural elements that were mixed into it. The gospel choir was fantastic.
Now, I'm going to let you go because you've got lunch to go to, and you, Jamie so-and-so, you're going to the party in the evening as well.
I've got my dancing shoes on, so I'm going to go enjoy myself.
I'm going to get all the gossip from you later. You look sensational, Jane. Don't you scrub up well?
You, Anita.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Still a big crowd in the ward here at Windsor Castle, and Roya and Robert's still with me. What I'd like to do just for a couple of minutes now is just to tell you what's going on inside the castle, the reception that's happening, and what we think's going on there in terms of what's been laid on, what it tells us again about the nature of today's event.
Well, they've got a traditional reception in St George's Hall, but again with a lot of modern touches. We know that the cake is not your traditional wedding cake, you know, it's lemon and elderflower. I understand very recently they've started growing their own wine, sparkling wine here at Windsor. The Queen was serving it for the very first time at a state occasion the other day at the Commonwealth Summit. So they could be having some of the Queen's own wine.
Did it go down well?
It went down extremely well.
Well, shouldn't be making another appearance.
Well, they,
yeah.
they make their own ice cream here.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be home ingredients.
Well, the kitchens here, of course, have been cooking for, I think, something like 800 years. So, you know, with a bit of modernisation in between. So, just in terms of what's happening at lunchtime, and then, of course, the private reception this evening, right, which does involve a reduced number of people, and that's also been the source of some commentary.
Very intimate. It's only going to be 200 people who'll make it onto that very elite list. We're going to have some speeches today, probably from the Queen, possibly from the Prince of Wales. Tonight is where the party really starts at Frogmore House. It's very under wraps. You can read all about it in the Sunday Times tomorrow. All the scoops.
Still lots of very colourful and impressive military activity going on. The Royal Marines were making their way through the centre of Windsor. And what I'd like to do now very quickly is just ask Roya and Robert for their highlight of the day, because, to be fair, you know, we've got a choice in terms of, you know, not just the arrival of the bride and the emergence of the dress, but actually there were several special moments. So first to you, Robert, what's the highlight?
I think the highlight's got to be the music in the chapel. Monarchy's all about, you know, bridging the past with the present, and I think it was a glorious fusion there of the very best of English choral tradition, great organ, but fabulous gospel choir, and it just brought past and present together beautifully.
For me, it's seeing Meghan incredibly composed, walking herself up the aisle. She looked absolutely radiant. That dress by Claire Keller was sensational, but also I think Charles and William having fits of giggles at some point. The sense of humour in the chapel was fabulous.
It's been great to have you with us, both of you. Thank you so much for enjoying the event with us. It's lovely. Robert Hartman and Roya Nika, nice to have you with us. Thank you very much indeed. And with that, let's join Dermot and Kirsty again.
Thank you, Hugh. So, as we've seen, an incredible procession with many different regiments, many different divisions of Household Cavalry. We saw the Marines there, the Irish Guards. It's great stuff. Which leads us to our favourite moments, our highlights. Meredith and Joe, and I imagine they're close mates too.
Well, you know, it's sort of like
Take a wild
The
style.
NTS, the dress. It was absolutely worth the wait and the surprise. It was pure class. I think that's the word, isn't it?
And when he lifted her veil,
It was
you saw the
beautiful.
tiara.
And the veil in itself, laden with symbolism, the symbols of the Commonwealth of all the nations sewn into that. That was a beautiful piece of craftsmanship.
And again, with Meghan, it's just totally considered. And, you know, it's like a real world view and really thinking about everything. I don't actually think the actual designer, the fact that she's the first female artistic director of Givenchy, I don't think that's an accident. I think that she's kind of like considered all of those elements when she's made this decision.
I also loved watching her mom, Doria, who was the only family member that was here for Meghan, and this has to be for her an incredible whirlwind, and she maintained the same dignity and class of her daughter. You saw total composure.
All the way through.
Yeah.
Well, the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree, has it? The thing about Doria Ragland is that is, given the amount of, and I'm sure it's kind of in background noise to a degree, but the amount of press and media speculation, you know, a lot of the chatter, much of it not good, that has happened around her family. For her to be there and be the person she is and conduct herself in the way that she's probably always conducted herself, but to do it under the spotlight is quite something.
Absolutely. And you know, for all the things that happened over the past week, Meghan Markle has said in the past her dad was such an important part of her life growing up. And so I'm sorry. I'm really saddened that he couldn't be here for this moment.
There was a beautiful tender moment though when Meghan was walked down by the Prince of Wales and Prince Harry just mouthed very quietly, "Thank you, Pa." An intimate moment. And let's go over now to Anita.